Wonderful. Hi, everybody, again. For those who just joined us, I am your host for the next 40-ish minutes. I am Pamela Shive. I am the community manager and training program manager at NDIA. And I'm very excited for this Digital Inclusion Week info session. This is being recorded, and I will share the recording and additional resources after the call. All right, here is our agenda for today. I will spend about the first 15-ish minutes going over what Digital Inclusion Week is, explore different ways that individuals and organizations can participate and have participated in the past, and then also open it up for any questions and answers that you may have. If you want to ask about a Digital Inclusion Week event you're thinking about, or kind of run through some ideas that you have, this is the perfect place to do that. All right. So, for those who might be participating to Digital Inclusion Week for the first time this year or might not know that much about it, Digital Inclusion Week is an annual nationwide event that is dedicated to raising awareness about digital equity and, of course, showcasing our collective efforts and impactful digital inclusion work. It's going to be on the first full week of October, so that's going to be October 6th through 10th. And there are many benefits of participating because it's a great opportunity to raise awareness about digital inclusion in your community. It's also a great way to raise awareness about your programs. There might be folks who might not know that crucial organizations like yours exist, so this is a great way for them to find out. It's a great way to meet and reach more community members, and also a great way to gain supporters, funders, and partners. During this week, we see a lot of organizations partner with one another. There are a lot of creative ways that people have seen that, and I'll kind of showcase that later on. And the theme is community-driven digital futures. So that theme recognizes that the most impactful solutions spring directly from within our own communities, and we understand that our communities lives realities best. And so by leveraging local knowledge and collaboration, we can develop meaningful digital inclusion strategies. Anybody can participate in Digital Inclusion Week, whether if you are an individual who's very passionate about digital inclusion or you're part of a larger organization, which I imagine most of you all here are part of an organization. We love to see all types of folks and organizations participate. If you already have a Digital Inclusion Week event created and you have the registration form, please make sure to register your event on our website. And I will share some of those links right now. All right. The link is in the chat to register your event, whether you already have one or you're thinking of one and in the future you've already got something. Go ahead and register that on our website so that people can see what events are happening near them. We have a map on our Digital Inclusion Week webpage so folks can see the events that are happening nearby. And it's also a great way to see partners that you could potentially collaborate with or also support their events during Digital Inclusion Week as well. All right. So kind of going into the bulk of things, I want to share kind of two different categories of events that you can partake in, and they're going to be divided up based off of lifts. So the first one is they're more low lift. So this is really great if this is your first time participating in Digital Inclusion Week, or it's crunch time and you might not have a lot of resources or staff capacity, then this is a really great way to get your first dibs into participating in Digital Inclusion Week. So the first type is through social media and blog posts. So we have seen organizations take pictures of staff or program participants. They're holding a sign that says, "What does digital inclusion mean to me?" Or even something like, "Why does Digital Inclusion Week matter?" And you can have your teammates or your participants share a story. And that's a great way to feature that on a blog post or share that as a social media post throughout the week. just so people can understand, different lived realities of people's relationship with the internet or why Digital Inclusion Week matters to them. That's a really great way to start. Another one is doing an open house. If you have a on-site location and that's a feasible option for you, that's a great way to, participate in Digital Inclusion Week, doing an open house, kind of showing the different programs that you have, having community members, ask any questions they may have about, what is digital skills classes? What is digital inclusion? Is your program free? That's a really great way to, get your toes wet with Digital Inclusion Week. We've seen organizations do a membership drive, really utilizing this week to promote their services. And if you are a member kind of based organization, this is a great way to highlight the programs that you have and why it's important to, become a member, the benefits of being a member, and also donating to your organization. This is a really great week to utilize that. We always like to say that we don't want to overcomplicate things. We know that everybody right now, especially, is dealing with constraints of time, capacity, and budget. So whatever type of digital inclusion programming you're already doing, whether it's a digital skills class, whether you're doing device donations or drop-offs, or if you have a digital navigator on your team, schedule what you're already doing during that full week of October, so October 6th through 10th. And that's kind of the easiest lift I've seen folks do is they take what they're already doing, schedule something during Digital Inclusion Week. So you're already, using those resources that you already have and not having to use extra. Another way people participate is by doing a webinar or a digital skills class. So what NDIA does during Digital Inclusion Week is we have regularly we have bi-monthly Digital Inclusion 101 webinars that I actually host. And just like what I recommended, we scheduled one during Digital Inclusion Week, and that's kind of one of the many ways that NDIA participates. And so if you're kind of doing something like that already, make sure to schedule it during that week. Types of classes that we see people and organizations host during Digital Inclusion Week. Really popular ones, topics include cybersecurity, how to navigate the internet safely. There's a lot. Last year, people have registered their digital skills classes to focus on AI. What is AI? What is generative AI? People also had classes on smartphones, the fundamentals of smartphones, using that, knowing how to use that device, but also with smartphone accessibility. With NDIA, we also launched our Digital Inclusion Program Manual. So if you have a program or any type of resource, toolkit, any public resource that folks can utilize that's related to digital inclusion, that would be a great week to either launch it or host a webinar about it. So what we did is we launched our digital inclusion program manual, and we hosted a webinar kind of explaining, what the manual entails, going through the best practices, answering any questions, and, really showcasing what's the perfect audience for that. So if you have already something lined up that you could launch and host a webinar for, that would be a great opportunity. Another one is for in-person events. And you can do these the webinars and digital classes. I've seen combinations of either virtual or in person. And so with the in-person events, something really cute that I saw last year was from the Community Service Programs of West Alabama. They did a Bingo Digital Skills Challenge. So they hosted it in libraries, in multiple libraries. And so participants they received bingo cards that encompassed a variety of digital skills challenges. And so once the workshops were completed, the participants were also able to receive a free laptop device, mouse, mousepad, and Bluetooth speaker. So if that is something that you have those resources, or you could partner with another digital inclusion program in your area to have those devices, that's kind of a cute and unique way to do it. As you can see, all these different types of examples. It really just depends on where you're at, where your organization is at, and how you can incorporate Digital Inclusion Week into what you're already doing. There are a lot of creative ways, just like the Bingo Digital Skills Challenge and some other ones that I'll be sharing later. People host art competitions, whether it's a submission in person or a virtual submission. There are a lot of creative ways you can engage your community, and by no means are any of these examples the only type of way you can participate. Another in-person event is a networking event for digital inclusion enthusiasts. We've seen that. So it's like a happy hour. You can schedule something at, a local restaurant, a happy hour for anybody who is, either a digital inclusion practitioner or an advocate or somebody who's just really interested and knowledgeable in the topic. And that's also a great way to participate in Digital Inclusion Week, having conversations with your community about digital inclusion. Another one is from the Fortune Society. So they did a participation appreciation lunch. So this is more along the lines of a celebratory recognition event, which we see a lot happen during Digital Inclusion Week as well. So the Fortune Society, they hosted a lunch celebration for their most dedicated program participants and learners. And during that, they had food, and participants were also issued certificates in recognition of their effort. So if you just completed a digital skills workshop, or that completion of that workshop will align really closely to Digital Inclusion Week, this would be a great way to celebrate that. Also a great way to highlight and promote your program, and also a great way for storytelling. You can ask your participants to share a story of how, your program has benefited them or how it has helped them become more comfortable with using their device or become more comfortable with navigating the internet. And that's also really good social media content to share during the week as well. Another great way to participate is, and this could be also done through social media, is if you have a anniversary during the week of, or during the month of October, definitely a great opportunity there. You can highlight either if your organization is celebrating an anniversary or a program. Let's say, you launched a pilot program last year at that time. You can, do a blog post or social media post about lessons that you've learned. What are some great takeaways, again, storytelling from the participants who completed the program and kind of where they're at now. All right, so these are more like medium, higher lifts. And so the highest lift would be something like a conference or, yeah, a conference. Now that usually takes a little bit more time. And right now we're about a month and a week-ish towards Digital Inclusion Week. So maybe a conference might not be in the future if you're kind of still planning out now. Though I have seen conferences that are virtual be planned in a much shorter time frame. So it's still possible. But that's probably like one of the more higher lifts. But in terms of medium, doing a device distribution or donation drive, like partnering with another digital inclusion program that does device or donation, or if you are that, you can partner with a digital skills program doing that. We see a lot of that happening where participants will attend a digital skills training during the week, and then at the end, they'll receive a device. That's a really popular thing that happens. So one example of that is NPower. So they partnered with Goodwill Industries, and so they had a digital literacy class and then a device clinic. So what they did was they helped community members with job searching tips. So they helped provide those digital skills. And then after that, they hosted a device clinic. So participants were able to bring their devices and then receive free IT support. That type of free IT support, we see a lot of those types of events happening during Digital Inclusion Week, where community members can bring their device, and somebody from IT or a digital navigator will help them answer their questions or help fix the issue. And then it's also a great way to promote whatever future or upcoming class that you have to the folks that show up. Another one is partnering with higher education. So, one great example is the Puerto Rico Broadband Program. So, they attended their local college job fair. And so, what they did was they helped students learn about broadband opportunities. So, kind of teaching them, ways that you could work in the industry. And then also, teaching about bridging the digital divide. So definitely check out what events are happening in your local colleges, local community colleges. If there's anything happening during that second week of October, try to, if it's like a fair or something, that would be a really great way to, say, hey, I would like a booth, and this is kind of the programs that we offer. We'd like to participate. Another way we've seen partnerships happen is through the National Digital Equity Center. So they hosted a Get Connected event, and this is something where they shared about their community programs that offer things like devices, being able to search for affordable internet options and learning digital skills. They went to senior housing, they went to universities and community centers. So they went to those different community organizations and then kind of shared about their organization's program. So that's also another way you can partner and both teach about digital inclusion and then highlight your program offerings as well. And in terms of community meetings and trainings, so community meetings, we see a lot of cities host kind of forums or open meetings that community members can attend. And this is where community members or residents are able to share their challenges with, access or connectivity. So one example of that is the Baltimore City Office of Information and Technology, their Office of Broadband and Digital Equity. They hosted a digital equity public meeting. So this is where Baltimore City residents were able to share their challenges about connectivity, offer ideas, learn about the resources that are available to help them, access internet services, access digital skills training. And that event is usually free and open to the public. Not all events have to be free and open, but in that case it is. Another one where it's a kind of a community meeting or training is with the Coastal Maine Regional Broadband. So they partnered with the Methodist Conference Home and they did presentations on scam and fraud. So they did in-house scam and fraud presentations for those residents there. And we see that a lot where they organizations might partner with a housing authority or a residence and provide a type of digital skills training there. Another one that I saw a lot from last year was like a pop-up library style. So a digital navigator from a library would attend like a community group or a recovery center or some type of community organization, and that's where they can answer any questions that residents or community members have, kind of help share the organization, the library resources that are available, and then provide some type of digital skills support. Another example of that is through the Wythe County Public Library. So they had a digital navigator attend a social group for seniors called the Friendship Cafe. And so what they did there was, attend the group, answered any questions, help the seniors set up appointments for attending those digital literacy classes that the library had. So those are kind of some different ways that organizations have participated. I hope it helped kind of broaden your ideas, that there isn't just one way to participate. There's so many different ways, and it really just depends on your community and your capacity as well. And here are some awesome pictures of our community last year. People were attending fairs, college fairs. They did digital skills training. There was that art competition. And there was also a summit, a digital inclusion summit. And then here are different local governments issuing a Digital Inclusion Week proclamation. And you can see folks very excited about that. Of course, Boston lit up their building in teal in support of digital inclusion. And so just a few more things before question and answer opens. So we do have Digital Inclusion Week toolkits to help you prep for your event and get more active with Digital Inclusion Week. So for example, for our Digital Inclusion Essentials, we have a title graphic. We also have general messaging. So if you wanted to reach out to other organizations to encourage them to participate or even potentially collaborate. We have an email outreach template for you. We have events toolkit. So we have a checklist of hosting successful Digital Inclusion Week events, some tips there. We also have a computer skills self-paced guide and computer outreach training toolkit as well. We have a social media toolkit. So we have downloadable graphics for you that you can share during Digital Inclusion Week. So that's a great way to participate if it's your first time. We also have customizable Canva graphics as well. So you can put your logo and insert your organization or community photos in there. And then we also have copy and paste social media posts. So you don't have to worry so much about how to promote it because we've got prompts for you. And in the toolkits, we also have a PR and press outreach toolkit, as well as an advocacy and actions for elected officials. So in there, you'll see tips for engaging elected officials, and then also a bridge light up template if you want to reach out to your local governments and encourage them to light up their building or bridge in teal in support of Digital Inclusion Week. All right. So some last steps for you all. Please make sure to register your Digital Inclusion Week event once you have that ready, so that you can be featured on our website and be featured on our map so folks can see you. It's also a great opportunity to see what other folks are doing. And also definitely check out the Digital Inclusion Week webpage if you're still kind of thinking about ideas and want to see what other people are doing this year. That's also a great tool. Make sure to share and promote your Digital Inclusion Week by using these specific hashtags. Check out our Digital Inclusion Week toolkits. And also, if you have any questions about your Digital Inclusion Week event, or you just want to brainstorm ideas, brainstorm potential partners that you might want to reach out to, see how other folks have been doing things, reach out to me and you can schedule a one-on-one time with me. I put the link in the chat for my Calendly where you can do that, and I'm happy to make time for you and answer any questions. But now is the time to ask any questions that you may have. I want to thank you all for coming, and I definitely want to hear what events you are thinking about. You could put that in the chat, but or you could also raise your hand and share that. But I definitely want to hear how you're going to be participating, what ideas you may have, any roadblocks that you have with the event you're thinking about, or any questions. Let me see. Audrey asked, do these toolkits have surveys for distribution? No, they do not. But thank you for asking that. That might be something we consider for the future. Magdalena says, we are hosting Connecticut's first Digital Equity Summit. Yes, that's awesome. So exciting. Make sure to share those pictures. I want to hear how it is. Also, if you're not part of the NDIA listserv, or if you already are, please share what you're doing for Digital Inclusion Week on the listserv. Our community is we're very supportive of each other, and that listserv is very robust. So people want to hear ideas and they also want to support. Thank you, Magdalena. Nubia asks, is the comms toolkit available now on the NDA website? Yes, they are available. All of the toolkits are available. So check out our Digital Inclusion Week webpage to access those toolkits. Takia. Okay, Sakia's doing a block party training on county GIS portals, cyber workshop, training on county apps, light it up teal. Love that. Thank you, Takia, for sharing that. Throughout the week, organizations host multiple events. So, by no means do you have to only host one event throughout the week. NDIA will be hosting multiple events throughout the week as well. So this is a great example of that. Is anyone here partnering with another organization for their event or are thinking of partnering? Adrian shares that they'll be having two webinars, Aging in a Digital Society and Digital Accessibility. Awesome. And make sure all to please register this on our website. Audrey says we are offering 4 in-person workshops on generative AI. That's a very popular topic, as well as webinars and tech advice sessions. Love that. We are also partnering with YMCA. Great. Thank you, Takia, for sharing who you're partnering with. Compudont and Inspired You for those laptop distribution and eDrive. Audrey, awesome. If you can, host your event in multiple languages, that would be even great to really make sure you're hitting all of your community members and making it accessible. Magdalena shares their event is a massive partnership between lots of different libraries and state agencies and our newly reformed Digital Equity Coalition, libraries and partners bridging the digital divide. That's amazing. For those who are looking for partners, a great place to start, well, there are two great places. The first is through our affiliates page. So let me share that right now. This is the NDIA affiliates page. All right, that is in the chat. And so if you scroll down, there is a map of all of our affiliates. We have over 2,000 affiliates. So go ahead and, type your address or your city, and then it'll populate affiliates that are near you. That's a great way to see, potential partners that you have that are already doing digital inclusion work or at least within the NDIA community. And another way is through our coalitions page. Now let me get that link for you. At the end of last year, fall of last year, we launched a digital inclusion coalition survey. And so the map, let me just put the link in the chat. Okay, both of the links are in the chat. And so the data and the map shows all of the organizations who submitted or participated in that survey. So fair to say that these are active organizations. And if you're not familiar with a coalition, digital inclusion coalitions are, it's like a hub of organizations in the community with a focus of digital equity and digital inclusion. And so if you're thinking about finding partners, definitely see if your area, your state has a coalition, and that'd be a really great place to start. Stephanie shared that Georgetown Law's Tech Institute is interested in potentially partnering by hosting or sharing their space if any organizations in the DC area are interested in an in-person event. So if anyone here is in the DC area, reach out to Stephanie or reach out to me and I'll connect you guys to each other. And this is the type of partnerships we love seeing where, an organization has a great place for another organization to host their event. That's a really great type of partnership we love to see. Audrey shares they're currently working with San Francisco Public Library, is that SFPL, around San Francisco, and they also invite us to their events to present. That's amazing. I love that. Who here is participating in Digital Inclusion Week for the first time? You can do you can raise your hand or you can just put that in the chat. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Um, are there any ideas here that has been shared in the chat or in the presentation that you're thinking about doing, or do you have any ideas already? You can answer in the chat, or you can go, or you could raise your hand. Again, for those who are newly participating, you can check out how other orgs have participated by looking at past Digital Inclusion Week events, and you can see that at the bottom of our Digital Inclusion Week page, you can see 2024, 2023, et cetera, et cetera. So that's also kind of a great way to see, how have organizations in the past participated and kind of see how you can fit that in with your program. All right. Asia says two workshops, one around bridging the intergenerational digital divide, and then another scam and fraud prevention workshop. Awesome. That's great. And again, I just want to encourage you all to register your event. And I will also stop the recording now.